right, so
aloha and welcome back, Sunshine Warriors, for our Thursday training, talking about the sun, having fun in the sun, getting paid in the shade, helping the world to transition to solar and renewable energy, and having fun and abundance while doing that. I'm your host here, Steve, Solar Steve. We got our buddy Sunshine Mike. He's traveling today, and then we have Mike Caluzzi here down in Florida. And this week we're going to cover lead generation. So how to share this message with your friends and family and communities, and let this message of the sun, I hate to use the V word, but go viral and grow exponential. So last week we covered, kind of overall mindset and mentality, and sort of a 8,000 level, 8,000 feet view of solar industry as a whole and the opportunity there. And I think this week we're going to sort of take a deep dive into lead generation with any business, any product or service. And to me, solar is much more than a product and service. It's we're not selling a widget, right? We're selling an idea. We're getting people to convert to a new way of thinking. The cool thing about technology is that because it always gets better, faster, and cheaper, right? The orange is the cost of solar panels. Like every technology in history, it gets exponentially better and cheaper. Once it crosses what they call the tipping point, right? That's when it becomes a penny cheaper than conventional energy. The number of people doing it, the rate of adoption, grows exponentially, right? So the human mind, we think linear, right? From back in our hunter-gatherer days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exponential means it doubles every single year, right? So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, etc. So really quick, it starts to compound and grow exponentially, right? Those are probably the two most important words to learn, as you're learning about the solar industry and what this represents, is the power of compounding and the power of exponential growth. So the good news is that this has already happened, right? 10, 12 years ago when I first got into solar, it was a very expensive luxury purchase. There wasn't financing. It was a 50-year payback. It was really like going to Whole Foods, right? Where you have to spend 2, 3, 5 times as much to get, organic kale juice. And now, because the price of these panels has literally plummeted 90% in the last decade, literally, right? This is like, we've seen this with every technology, right? Remember when flat screen TVs first came out, they cost 10 grand. Now they cost a couple $100, right? When cell phones first came out, right? I have a picture here for you. The big Zach Morris phone, it was thousands of dollars and it cost $10 a minute, right? This is how technology works. We've experienced this in every other realm of our life here. And see where it shares. I'm going to share to bounce this to another screen. All right, can you see that, Mike, with the cell phones?
Yep.
Perfect, right? So we've seen this with every technology in history, right? It starts out expensive, weird, scary, new. Why do I need a car? I've got a horse and buggy. Why do I need a TV? I've got a radio, right? Why do I need a cell phone? I've got a landline. Why do I need Netflix? I've got cable. Why do I need a computer? I've got an abacus or a library or whatever, right? So it starts out like a very expensive new novelty. And originally only the military and super rich, wealthy people can afford it. Once it gets mass produced, it gets better, faster, cheaper. Once that happens, right, it becomes inevitable. The cell phones we're talking on now have more computer power than everything combined when we went to the moon. It's really kind of mind-blowing. We take this stuff for granted. This is the last 100 years of technology adoption, where no one has something to everyone has something, right? Henry Ford didn't invent the car. He invented the assembly line to make cars affordable, right? Once they became affordable, now that crazy, weird automobile makes a little more sense than a horse and buggy. Although there's still some folks with horse and buggies, our Amish brethren, and a lot of those buggies have solar panels on them and on their barns, right? But the idea being, once you open Pandora's box, once it becomes better, faster, cheaper, it becomes inevitable, right? Almost like the Borg. Resistance is futile, right? Everyone gets a radio, then a TV, Now it's only accelerating in the digital era. And what that means is the time to get 100 million people with cars took 50 years. The time to get 100 million people with TVs took 15 years. The time to get 100 million users on Facebook took 5 years. The time to get 100 million users of TikTok or whatever the new nonsense is probably took, 5 months. So what that means is it's accelerating in the digital era. What this means for you as someone who's trying to help share the message of solar, right? We've already gotten to the point where we'll cover this in other meetings and trainings where solar is inevitable and it's a no-brainer. It's just a math equation, right? If you look at the numbers, it makes perfect sense, right? The issue is we're not logical animals, right? We're emotional, we're reactive, we're scared, we do things, the way we've always done them, the inertia, right? Why do I need this cell phone? I've got a landline. Why am I going to pay all this money to get this stupid phone? I can make phone calls as I've always done it, right? Why am I going to get Netflix? I've got cable. Well, cable's $100 a month and you watch commercials. Netflix is $10 and you watch no commercials and watch whatever you want, right? But my point is here that the solar value proposition, which we'll cover in depth at a later time, makes perfect sense, right? The number of people doing this and adopting technology, all technology and good ideas grow exponentially. So this is inevitable, right? The top people going solar, it's no longer Whole Foods and rich hippies, right? It's Walmart, Target, the bougie Walmart. You can have your sweatshop mass-produced garbage with your pinky out, maybe a monocle. Google, Apple, Costco, Amazon, the US military, the largest user of energy on the planet, is also the largest user of solar, right? The Pentagon and a lot of these Fortune 500 companies have a goal to get to 100% renewable energy as soon as possible. Nothing to do with tree hugging or the environment or the rainforest. For the military, it's about national security and energy independence. For these Fortune 500 companies in Wall Street, it's about green. And the only green that they're worried about is cash. It's not the rainforest or the butterflies. So if Walmart and Wall Street and the US military and all the smartest, most profitable and greediest companies on the planet are going solar, there's a reason, right? And now Main Street can also go solar and benefit from this. The problem and also the solution, that old meme, the Japanese character for crisis is problem and opportunity, right? So the amazing business opportunity for us is that this exponential is happening and it's going to happen whether you're involved in solar or not, right? If you blink in 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 years at most, everything's going to be solar and electric, right? It's going to be like if you go to someone's house and they don't have indoor plumbing or air conditioning or refrigerator, it's going to be shocking, right? The business opportunity for us is we're right here, right? We're at the beginning of this disruption, right? So it's growing exponentially. When I first started doing this, it cost so much more money. Now it's just cheaper than coal or gas. And, nothing against coal miners that helped build this country, right? But the Stone Age didn't end because we ran out of stones, right? We don't use whale oil and horse and buggy either anymore. So the opportunity in front of us, energy is the largest industry in human history, right? It puts cartels to shame. The two most traded commodities on planet Earth are petroleum and coffee, in that order. And those are the two fuels for industrial civilization, right? The world runs on Dunkin'. I prefer yerba mate, comes from the rainforest. But these are the things that we need to power our lives. The problem with that is coal and gas, right, which made an enormous benefit in the 20th century, right? All these things we take for granted, electricity, running water, cars, planes, trains, plastic, all these things are amazing. They all come from the sun in the first place, right? The sun is basically a nuclear reactor in the sky, shines down, it makes plants grow. We can eat that for energy, or cows eat it and we eat them. Ferment it for fun. That's all that beer and wine is. Even the gas in our car, it's old plants and dinosaur bones. So it's plants have converted that photons, the sun energy, into carbohydrates and sugar that we can either eat, ferment, or burn, right? So the sun is effectively a nuclear reactor in the sky, and that's where all life and energy comes from. The problem with coal and gas, besides the pollution and besides that they're located in places that, while the people may be cool, the people in power are often hostile to our interests, right? Not to get into geopolitics, but the stuff happening in Russia and Ukraine, the last 20 plus years of Mideast oil wars, that's all based on oil, right? If you take away the oil money, Russia and Saudi Arabia and these terrorist nations have zero power, right? We're sending kids into harm's way. We're sending blood and treasure. We're in never-ending wars to get the last bits of oil. And, we have a lot in PA and Texas and Alaska, but the problem is it's going to run out anyway, right? Even, whatever, we take away the geopolitics of it, it's a finite resource. There's only so much. And our whole civilization runs on it. So anyway, not to get too deep into those rabbit holes, the business case here is we have a technology that's replacing a finite monopoly. And we know that technology always gets better, faster, cheaper. And once that happens, the rate of adoption grows exponentially. So this is inevitable. This is happening. The question is, do you want to be a part of it, right? If you can grab 1% or of 1% of this market share, right? Your friends, family, your local school, businesses, industry, right? If Walmart and Fortune 500 companies in the US military are doing something, right? These are the smartest groups on earth. They have rooms full of accountants and lawyers crunching numbers. There's a reason they're going solar, and it's not because they're worried about the Amazon rainforest. They're worried about Amazon's bottom line. So the opportunity in front of us here is to go and spread this message to our neighborhoods and communities and friends and family and strangers. And that's what we're going to cover today. Feel free to interrupt me, Mike. Sometimes I get lost on tangents. We can go into the case for solar another time. The case now is with any product, any goods and services, you don't have a business unless you have people to buy your product. And they're not going to buy your product or service unless they know about it, right? So this is kind of universal for any industry. How can we leverage our existing networks? How can we leverage our psychology, old-fashioned in real life analog tools and practices, and amplified by new digital strategies, right? How can we amplify that to get this message out to more people so we can speak to more people and convert more people so we have more customers to go solar, right? Without leads, you don't have a business. So we'll cover a couple different strategies, and there's a lot more than this. It's just the tip of the iceberg. But we'll cover some strategies of how to talk to more people, right? A lot of times we can overcomplicate things, right? KISS, keep it simple, stupid, or keep it stupidly simple. I know I overcomplicate and overthink everything, paralysis through overanalysis, but it's really simple what we do in sales or solar, right? We got to find people to talk to. We have to talk to them. We have to learn how to talk to them in such a way that they're willing to listen and not slam the door in our face or slam the phone down. And then we have to get them at a kitchen table or a Zoom or a boardroom presentation, show them the offering. There's a whole bunch of psychology and skills in there. But I mean, if you take a blind monkey or a computer AI program and you show the solar value proposition to 10 people, 2 or 3 are going to do it, right? It's simply a numbers game, right? You look at the best Hall of Fame hitters in history with the 300, right? Right now the what do you call it? Not the Super Bowl. The World Series is going on, right? Go Phillies. The Eagle Stadium right next to the Phillies is solar powered, and I know the people that did that, by the way. But you look at the best hitters in history. If they hit 300% of the time, that means they struck out 70% of the time. There's some quote by Michael Jordan that, he was trusted to make the game-winning shot, and he missed it like 80% of the time or something like that, right? So my point is, you got to keep taking shots. You got to keep swinging the bat. You got to keep pitching everywhere you go all the time, right? A lot of this is old fashioned, right? And we're all, we get entranced with the shiny new thing, right, of technology. And it's amazing in many ways. In other ways, social media is kind of destroying society and people's ability to think critically. That's a whole other issue. But if you take these core principles of how ideas and how products and services expand, and I hate to use the V word after the last couple of years, but grow virally and grow exponentially, leveraging network effects and leveraging technology to take these old-fashioned principles so that you can talk to more people. And then as you get better at sales, which will be another training, convert more people. So there's really only two numbers we have control over: how many people we talk to, and then how good we are at converting them. So, a bunch of quotes out there with all of the, all the gurus and all the people. And, I'm old school, right? Technology's cool. We're in technology. Frankly, I get kind of annoyed by the whole influencer culture and all these gurus and all the hype and all these podcasts in people's mom's basement talking about a bunch of nonsense. I prefer to go to the OGs, right? The original gangsters, the original principles that everyone's recycling and regurgitating right now, where this stuff came from, right? It's not rocket science, right? This stuff is hidden in plain sight in books. And it's hidden under, there was some joke, I went to some hippie college up in Vermont studying about environmental science and all that kind of stuff. And said, where do you hide $20? Where do you hide $20? Under the work boots, right? Or in the library. These things are simple principles our grandparents and great-grandparents taught us. We probably, rebelled against it as kids, but these are kind of universal principles. We covered a lot of this last week, so I won't go deep into it. The basic principle is the science of success and the psychology of success. This is an art and science that is replicable, meaning you can copy people that are successful, take about 10 years of trial and error out of your game by just looking at someone who's where you want to be and shamelessly copying everything that they do, right? And then putting your own flavor and your own spin on it. Most everything I'm saying today and all the time, I got from books. I didn't come up with hardly any of it, right? I've got my own flavor and my own style and way of combining it and synthesizing it. But most all of this stuff came from people before us. So let's learn from the masters, right? Learn from the greatest. If you're out driving, this guy, Brian Tracy, he has a thing that, the average commute for the average person, time in your car, you can get a PhD every 2 or 3 years just by the time you're in your car or when you're walking on a treadmill at the gym. I love music, right? I go to concerts all the time. I'm an old hippie that cut my hair, right? But how many times can you listen to the same song, right? So when you're going around, like, just passively have this stuff in the background. A lot of it's things we already know. Like I said, none of it's rocket science, basic principles, but remind yourself this, right? We were talking about mindset last week. Every morning, wake up, right? Don't go to your email. Don't turn on the news. Don't go to Facebook and social media. You're going to cloud your mind. It's like junk food, which is fun. When you go to the beach, you can read a beach book and trashy whatever. And, I got to veg out and watch Netflix at the end of the day too. It can't all be saving the world and expanding your mind. But you want to start the day out right with feeding your mind positive content, inspirational stuff, right? If you believe it, you can achieve it. If you start out your day with all that's wrong in the world and doom and gloom and all the nonsense out there, right? How's that tone of your day going to be versus if you wake up reading and thinking about how to think and grow rich, right? The tools of the Titans, right? All these people, what they did is they went around and interviewed a lot of the most successful people, right? And as we were talking about last week, success is not just money. I could really care less about most material stuff. What success is for you, right? Is that a happy family, a happy marriage? Is that being able to send your kids to whatever school you want, going on vacation, retiring your parents, right? Taking care of people. It's not, the material doesn't really matter. The beauty of solar and what it represents at a deeper level for the planet and for people is tapping into free energy and an abundant world, right? As opposed to a finite world. There's only so much oil, there's only so much money, there's only so much power, right? And it's controlled by a hierarchy, the people at the top controlling the resources. Solar and these peer-to-peer networks, right? Uber, Airbnb, Netflix, it's instead of a hierarchy economy in a society, it's a circular society, right? Peer-to-peer, sharing networks, right? That kind of world is abundant. The sunlight is abundant. There's more than enough food and medicine and shelter and energy to go around, right? We can live a much better lifestyle. There shouldn't be people starving in the streets with no food, right? Imagine a world where we have unlimited solar energy with electric powered vehicles, and we have solar powered 3D printers printing food and printing shelter, and everyone has, more than enough to go around, right? That's the inner hippie in me. That's part of my why. But find what your why is, and you might be like, that's a bunch of hippie bullshit. I want to get rich and drive a Ferrari. or I'm in debt from college and I want to pay my bills off, or, whatever your version of success and happiness is, find your why. That's the most important part. Everything else is the details. You can learn the details of how to program a computer, how to sell solar, the details don't matter, right? I mean, they do. The economics matter. But the first thing is your why and your mindset. And then the second thing is working hard, right? There's a lot of stuff with, some of these concepts now, some of them have been bastardized or recycled with stuff like The Secret, which is a great concept, like famous thing about Jim Carrey when he was a broke, starving artist, comedian, wrote himself a check for $1 million, right? And the first part of that secret is, you don't just write yourself a check for the $1 million and sit there and meditate. Sounds good. That's the first part. You have to believe it to achieve it, right? You have to believe that we can put people in a rocket and light gas on fire and shoot them to the moon. You have to believe that you can put these stones together and build a pyramid or build a bridge. At the time, it seems crazy. It seems insane. So first you have to believe that anything is possible, right? But second, you have to work your fucking ass off. You're not just going to sit there and meditate. People aren't going to come to you knocking on your door. Hopefully, eventually they will, as you build your referral network, asking you to go solar, filling it out, writing you a check and handing money in your pocket, right? You got to pound the pavement. You got to beat the bushes, all those cliches. You got to knock on doors. You got to pound on the phones. You got to go to the BNI. You got to go to the Chamber of Commerce. You got to set up a table at the farmer's market, at the event. You've got to, drive. You got to, fill your mind with these books. You got to go to the seminars, right? And what I'm saying is you got to put the practice in. You got to do the work. There's no secret of success. All these things are basic principles. It's the shit your mom and your grandparents told you as a little kid growing up. The reason it works is these are universal principles. This is how nature and the universe works, right? Brian Tracy and a lot of these guys, Napoleon Hill, have the analogy of the seasons. And if you were on the CEO mastermind yesterday, they were talking about the seasons of your life, the seasons of business, seasons of economy, right? The cycles of things. Right now, everyone's flipping out and they think the sky's falling. Well, look to history, right? Look how things go in cycles. When everyone thinks it's fantastic and everything's great, it's not that good. It's pretty good. When everyone thinks the sky is falling and it's the end of the world, like it's not really that bad. A lot of it's mindset. But if you know how these cycles work, right? You have to plant your seeds in the spring, right? You have to till the soil. You have to fertilize it. You got to rip out the weeds. You got to put a fence up to protect it from deer and rabbits and pests, right? And then you put your seeds out there that you spent all winter picking. Birds are going to come and eat some of them. Some of them won't sprout. Some of them the soil won't take. But if you put out 100 seeds, hopefully 50% or 60%, or if you're 30% sprout, right? And then the summer, you've got to water them. You've got to make sure that the insects don't get them. You got to make sure pests and mold, make sure, other people from other villages don't come and steal your crops or burn your crops down. You have to protect that and nurture it and water it and take care of it. Then come the fall, right? You're going to have an abundant harvest. You're going to have so many tomatoes and cucumbers. You're going to have to make salsa and ketchup and give them away to your friends. And then you're going to have a big harvest celebration like we're doing right now, right? With the Thanksgiving and the fall fests to get ready for winter. And winter is a time, you're going to germinate and you're going to, fill up, it starts getting darker soon. So you start reading some books, fill up your mind and get ready for next spring. And on that mindset, I've been doing this 12 years. The winter is always when I make my most sales. All right, everyone else hangs up their boots. Oh, it's it's the holidays. I'll get back with them at the new year, right? We're about to enter a season, an orgy of consumerism, right? The day after Thanksgiving, I'm so grateful and thankful. People get up at 3 a.m. to go buy a bunch of crap at Walmart, right? Made in a sweatshop by little kids on credit that they don't have to impress people that don't matter, right? Not to be negative about consumerism, but every solar sales job, everyone's like, oh, maybe I'll try, get started in, people only buy solar in the spring and the summer. Once the winter comes, the season's over. That's BS, right? That's just a mindset. So anyway, my point is get your mind right, get your why right, do the work, feed your mind. And then the most important thing is do the work, right? Knowledge is not power, contrary to popular opinion and the cliche. Knowledge is not power. The world's full of super intelligent failures that don't act on their knowledge, right? The application of knowledge is power. So the person who has a little bit of knowledge, but grit and work ethic will always beat the PhD, super educated person that has to get everything perfect before they take action, right? That's been kind of an issue in my life. At certain points, I overthink everything, as you can tell, maybe from rambling here. But get some of these ideas, or you don't even need these books. Just get out there, start pounding on the pavement, knocking on doors, picking up phones, and networking. So without further ado, let's get through all of this and get to how do we actually generate leads, right? So the most important thing I think about sales and learning from these books, sales is a transfer of energy, emotion, and surety, right? I'm confident. I know that this product or service is going to help your family and help you save money. I know that every person I meet, everywhere I go, if they own a house and they have an electric bill, I know I can help them save money, right? And I believe in this mission at the core of my being, right? Like I would be on the street corner holding up a sign about, stop burning oil in the rainforest and go solar and kumbaya, right? Like I'm kind of obsessed, as you can tell, right? You don't have to be as insane or obsessed as me. If you present this solar value proposition to enough people, a certain amount of people are going to do it. And that's all you need to be successful. But you got to keep getting out there, and you got to keep being okay with rejection. You got to keep swinging your hammer. Hey, what's up, Mr. Bernasso? How are you doing today?
Hello. Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Oh, another sunny day in paradise over here on the Beast Coast. Me and Mike are chatting about some lead generation strategies, some mentality stuff, and how to help make this business go viral and exponential, and how to make a good lifestyle, sharing the sunshine with people.
Wonderful. Love it.
Where are you at, over on the West Coast now? Or are you down in Mexico with the service?
Still in Los Angeles. I'll be heading to Mexico for the Impact Journey this Sunday.
That's awesome. Maybe tell us a little bit about that and what's going on down there.
Yeah, so Power has partnered with one of my brother and I's friends' nonprofit organizations that we go down and build homes and donate solar for families who have never had electricity, never been able to turn on lights or open a fridge like we all take for granted. And we're able to provide that with them, with giving them some solar panels and a battery. So Power is now sending their top sales reps in the nation multiple times a year to go do these impact journeys to change a family's life down there with solar being donated and building a small home for them. And then Power wines and dines us because we're the top sales reps in the company. So really excited, looking forward to it.
That definitely sounds exciting. I think we were, just to catch up to speed, we were chatting about, mindset and books and our personal why and what this represents on a deeper level. And I was sort of going on a world peace hippie rant. And that's really what it's all about, right? Like there's, on a deeper level, what solar represents as a planet of abundance and prosperity and more peace and a more equitable world, because the sun can't be owned or controlled by anyone, right? The sun is freely and equally available to everyone. And as much of our pitch about solar here in the States and the Western world is the big bad, utilities are big bad monopolies and they're raising rates and it's so expensive and you can save all this money by going solar, which is all true. There's 2 billion people around the planet that don't have energy. And, I kind of romanticize, Native American and more simple days. I think everyone has buys into this nostalgia of a simpler time. Well, if you don't have energy, you don't have clean drinking water, you don't have refrigeration, you don't have lights. So right now in the developing world, and there's the same energy poverty in a lot of places in America, you typically have women and children hiking several hours a day to get drinking water, which may or may not be clean, gathering sticks or the last bits of forest or animal dung to burn for light or heat or to cook. Indoor dirty water is the #1 killer in the planet after infectious disease. #2 is indoor air pollution. So you're burning kerosene or gas or animal dung inside of your your hut or your little, small house, that pollution is hurting people. So it's amazing what it can do. We also power and our group partners with a group called Give Power. And the idea is we donate to them, and every certain solar systems we install, we donate a small amount so we can go around the world and give people solar systems with batteries. So now you can pump, purify, and irrigate drinking water. You can have light to study at night. You can tap into the internet, which is not supposed to be Kardashians and social media. It's essentially the Library of Alexander or Library of Congress at your fingertips. There's so many people, just like we're talking about this innovative disruption with cell phones and cable and Netflix, right? Cell phones over landlines, Netflix over cable, and solar is the latest innovative disruption of these monopolies, these old dinosaurs. In the developing world, people never got electricity or phone lines, so they went right to cell phones. So now with a digital distributed network, you can do mobile banking, you can get education, you can tap in, you can start a small business, right, in a village in Tanzania or anywhere on the planet. So now we need energy for that, right? So if you have solar power for that, you now have access to information. You now have light at night, which makes your community safer. You now have refrigeration, which we take for granted, but is huge, right? To be able to refrigerate food or medicine. So there's so many ancillary benefits of what solar can do for the planet, right? And that's kind of my deeper mission, and folks like Chris and the leadership here at Power and what we're doing, the deeper mission to create a more abundant, peaceful, prosperous planet, free of pollution, where there's plenty of energy and food and stuff to go around. But to get there, right, we first got to get this message out to people in our neighborhoods, right? There's a great lady, Debbie Dooley, who started, if you can believe it or not, solar was actually illegal in Florida and Georgia, the Sunshine State, right? Because of the monopoly power of utilities. And she was a crusader that helped get solar legalized there. She partnered with Greenpeace, all across the spectrum. And she's like, my granddaddy was a preacher. And he said, it doesn't matter how good your sermon is if you don't have butts in the seats, right? So no matter how good of a message solar is, and we're seeing all of these big businesses and militaries and Fortune 500 companies and investors going solar, but a lot of folks in our neighborhood don't know what it is, or they have misconceptions, or they think it's still too expensive because it used to be just a few short years ago, right? Before the cost of this declined so fast. So that's what we're getting into today is how to get this message out to more people. And our next trainings will work on what to do when you actually sit down with folks, and the psychology behind sales and influence and persuasion, right? How to ethically help people to take action. But first, we got to find people to talk to, right? So back to the beginning here, keep it simple. Before we save the planet, it starts with saving people money. Before we can do that, we got to find people to talk to, right? Let's try to keep it simple and bring it back down to planet Earth, right? So it's just a transfer of energy, emotion, and confidence, right? I know that I can help you save tens of thousands of dollars with this solar product. There's ways we can get it installed that don't cost you anything, can save you from day one, be cash flow positive. I'm confident of that, right? So I want to talk to everyone I meet everywhere I go. Unfortunately, people aren't logical, right? We buy on emotion, we justify that with logic. As we're talking about, persuasion is an art and science that can be learned and replicated by copying the masters, AKA read books, listen to podcasts, get trained by the people who are successful, right? Selling is creating rapport through leading Socratic questions, right? Rapport is trust, right? Right away, a dog comes up to you and smells you. It's smelling your pheromones. And what it's getting at is, can I trust you, or are we going to fight? Or are we going to be friends, right? Humans dance around that with, what high school did you go to? What sports team do you like? They're dancing around, can I trust you? Can I break bread? Can I let you in from my doorstep in to sit at my kitchen table, break bread with me and my family, right? Can I trust you? That's the most important thing. If you can learn that skill, right, the rest of it, solar sells itself. It's just a matter of getting led into that kitchen table or the Zoom room, right? The digital kitchen table, whatever that is, so that people can be open to hearing this, right? And selling is not telling. Right now I'm ranting and raving because I'm trying to condense 10 years of knowledge into a 30-minute training. But when I meet with customers, it's not like this at all. I'm asking them questions. When Chris was telling his story, I would ask 2 and 3 and 4 questions deep, right? That's interesting. Tell me about that. Really, is this your first time going there? How did that make you feel? How did you get it? How did you win that contest? What did you do? Right? Chris is, he's one of the top leaders in our company. I've been doing this a little bit longer than him, but last year he sold more solar than me, right? So what I should be saying, instead of me on the microphone, I should be saying, well, Chris, how did you win that contest? How did you get invited to do that? What were some of the skills and practices that you did, right? Because Chris is a smart guy, but he's not Einstein, right? He's a normal human being. If he did it, that means that we can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. None of this stuff is rocket science, right? It's skills and it's practices and it's a mindset and it's hard work. And the work that we're doing, I grew up doing construction work, right? Getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning, mixing cement and carrying cinder blocks, right? To me, work is like a farmer or someone in a coal mine or a factory or construction or the military. Our job is going around and talking to people. Like, we're talking to people about the sunshine, and we get paid this amazing abundance, like real estate level or brain surgeon level commissions it's possible to do well by doing good. We're helping everyone we meet save tens of thousands of dollars for much more important stuff like their family. There's a lot of middle class and working class people that are struggling right now with bills. So we can not only help every person we meet save tens of thousands of dollars, right? We can help share this opportunity with folks so that they can make tons of money, even as a side hustle, or even just referring some friends and family they're going solar anyway, right? So this is an opportunity. Instead of this finite scarcity mentality, we can share abundance and really help our communities, right? If that doesn't light your socks on fire, maybe you're in the wrong thing, right? Go back to selling insurance or alarms or pest control or whatever. If you don't understand, if that does not excite you of the opportunity of what solar is, right? Disrupting the largest industry in human history, that's not only destroying the planet and leading to war and pollution, disrupting that with the technology that can help make a more peaceful, abundant planet that no one can control or own, while creating generational wealth for yourself and your family. If you're not excited by that, I don't know what to tell you, right? I can lead you to water, but you can't force a horse to drink, as the old saying goes, right? So as a part of that, when I meet people, our goal is to take them from 0 to 60, to get them excited, right? They don't get excited by me standing on a soapbox and ranting and raving. They get excited by asking them questions, right? Tell me more about that. So Socrates, if you watched Bill and Ted, right? Socrates, his whole thing was asking people questions to get them to the place he wanted them to be, so that they thought that they came up with it. All this stuff is very powerful. That's why it's very important to use it ethically, morally, and righteously, right? When you learn these techniques, like you'll see advertising, or not to get into, I hate politics, but when you see people, commercials and things, right? They're using powerful, subtle psychological techniques to get you to buy things, right? So we're going to use those same techniques to help people, right? We're going to do well by doing good, right? We're always going to help people, and having a service mentality and attitude of gratitude, the abundance and the financial success and wealth will come naturally, right? By helping more people. There's the old Zig Ziglar quote, how do you get wealthy? You help enough people get what they need, and you're going to get what you need as a byproduct of that, right? So what we're looking to do with these questions, once they trust us, is to create an emotional response. And that's what you see in advertising. You see someone riding down the road with the wind in their hair and a stallion, and a powerful muscular dude and a pretty lady, and they're selling a washing machine or a car that's going to sit there and rust and not be used 90% of the time. These are emotional triggers that act on a deep psychological level. Then you pair yourself and your products as the solution to their problems, using storytelling and analogies, not just telling people. So that's the background of what we're doing. Now, how can we do it, right? Ideas, I hate to use the V word or the C word, but ideas are viral and contagious, right? You look at memes, pop songs. There's a great book that we can watch this later. I'll send you the link, called The Tipping Point, right? And that book explores how ideas go viral, right? What makes things take off? What makes things popular? Here's another study talking about the contagion effect of solar, where one person in the neighborhood gets it, then 2, then 4, then 8, right? How much did that cost? What do you mean it was free? Or what do you mean you got a big tax credit? right? So this is how it's taking off. Now, how do we find people to talk to? Well, I look at it as three sort of strategies. One is hunting, fishing, and farming. So hunting, I consider going out and cold calling, knocking on doors, traveling to events, networking, setting up a table, talking to your Uber driver, talking to the person on the train, talking to the guy sitting next to you at the bar, right? You're going out and you're talking to someone that's never heard about solar or never heard about it from you. And you're going out and you're hunting in the wild for people that you can talk to, right? You want to be an ambassador or an evangelist of solar and the light. And so you want to go out and everywhere you go all the time, you're talking about solar, right? Sometimes I apologize or sorry, not sorry to my girlfriend. We're out at dinner, we're on the train, we're at a concert, and inevitably I get to talking about solar. I've signed up at least 10 Uber drivers to get solar on their house. I have one of our best Uber drivers ever, who's a good friend of mine now, and one of the top producers on our team, Cam, who was, Uber driving on the side. We got talking, and it turns out he's done solar for a few years, and he was looking for a better opportunity than he could get with his local dealer. And now he's one of the top producers on our team. So talk to everyone, everywhere you go all the time. But that's a given. That's what you should be doing. That's not necessarily a scalable, replicable strategy for how to build a business. So I love cold calling. Some folks love, or they may not love it, but they're very successful at door to door. So we'll start there, door to door and cold calling. The oldest things in the book, people say that both of them are dead and horrible strategies. Yet there's kids making several $100,000 a year, knocking doors for 2, 3, 4. They're really hard workers, a full-time job, right? 8 hours a day, but most people are doing it a couple hours a day. And the reason it works is it's a simple numbers, right? Simple math. If you knock on 100 doors, maybe 50 people are home, right? I don't know the metrics on this. If you want to know the metrics on this, copy the best. So the best is Michael O'Donnell. You get his book here, No Matter What. He's the best of the best. He does 2 megawatts a year in solar. Buy this book from him, listen to his free podcast, join his thing, see what he does and copy it. There's a guy, Sam Taggart, a lot of folks that really crush it at door to door. Some of the most successful folks came out of Utah because they had experience before that doing their missions and things like that. They kind of reinvigorated the whole door to door industry with the pests and the alarms, and now are doing solar. So there's kids making several $100,000 a year doing this. The first thing you got to get over, the hardest door is your car door, right? You got to get out of your car door. Once you're out there, right? You knock on 100 doors. Hopefully you talk to 50 or 60 people. Maybe only 30 people are home or 20 people. So then you have 20 or 30 good conversations. Let's say 70% of them are going to slam the door in your face, tell you to get off their lawn. You got to have thick skin, right? And Michael O'Donnell says, look at it as you're getting paid $100 for every no, right? So if you can calculate your numbers of how many conversations it takes for you to get a lead, right? A lead would be someone willing to have a 5, 10, 30-minute conversation, someone willing to give you their electric bill to get a free proposal to see what this is all about. Let's call that a lead, right? So if I know if I talk to 10 people, I'm going to get 2 or 3 people into leads, right? And if I talk to those 2 or 3 people, hopefully 1 or 2 signs up, right? So if you know your numbers, then it's a simple matter of reverse engineering the math, right? So if I talk to 100 people, then I'm going to get whatever that was, 30 people, 30 leads. And then hopefully out of those 30 leads, I get 10 sales. If you can make 10 sales a month in solar, you can make 500 grand to $1 million a year. And you do that for a few years in a row, you can be set up living on interest the rest of your life on a beach, or do whatever you want. You can have true financial freedom. And then as you get better, right, you can study all these books, right? Read the book on how to get referrals, read the book on how to track your clients, read the book on, Napoleon Hill and these mindset coaches, read the book on how to do digital marketing with solar, right? So now you can knock 100 doors at a time using the power of technology, right? So that you can get your conversion rates better. So as you get better, maybe you talk to 10 people, Michael O'Donnell probably makes 6 or 7 leads out of it, right? On a good day, hopefully I make 4 or 5 or 6 out of it. And then he's closing instead of 30%, he gets better. What if you're closing 50%? Right? But until you get better at that, the one thing you can control is the number of people you talk to, right? You got to keep the funnel filled up, whether it's old school in real life or digital. I say do both, right? Do everything strategy until you get honed in on what is your strength and what works for you. But the guy that, let's say you're another guy that talked to 10 people and you're new at solar and you only get one lead out of that, right? And let's say you don't close at 30%, you close at 10% because you're new and you're a little bit nervous and you don't quite have the pitch down. You know what? The person that goes out, if that person goes and knocks 100 doors, whereas the guy that's been doing it for a while, he's maybe confident and cocky, he's making some good money, right? He's having a $10,000 or $20,000 month and he gets a little cocky and lazy and he's getting a little, sleeping in, going on vacation. Maybe he's eating and drinking a little too much, not getting up early and going to the gym, not reading the books, getting a little comfortable. If he knocks 20 doors a day, the kid who knocks 100 doors a day with less skill is going to always beat him, right? So hustle and hard work always beats knowledge and always beats experience. Now, if you can hustle and hard work and you get the knowledge and experience and skill, then you're going to be unstoppable. So our strategy here, door to door. Next strategy similar to that is cold calling. Some great training. There's a kid online, Panda Solar Appointments. It's worth taking his training. I did it. I did all the same stuff he was doing anyway. But it's a good thing of literally when the pandemic popped off and we couldn't knock doors or couldn't network or couldn't go to preset appointments, I literally started cold calling. We have some great tools and techniques where you can pull up a neighborhood that's a neighborhood you want to knock doors on or canvas, and you can split your screen and put True People Search. There's a whole bunch of different ones that you can get an accurate house phone and a cell phone 95% of the time. And I would literally just go through the neighborhood, smiling and dialing, calling people, right? If you get a thick skin and you're used to getting hung up on, but if you can also learn and hone your skill where you're not like a typical salesman, right? You want to do the opposite of the extended car warranty, right? We're a culture that hates being sold to, but loves buying things. So when you get the phone call, oh, we're trying to find you about our extended warranty. Hi, this is Bob. Boom, click, you hang up every time. If you can take less than a split second to disrupt their pattern, to distract them just a little bit, where you have a chance to make a human connection, and then you go in as a human with tonality, and you can't do body language over the phone, but tonality is very effective. There's some great trainings from Tony Robbins, the Wolf of Wall Street guy, even though he's a little bit greasy and slimy for my taste, but he's good at what he does. Tonality, it doesn't matter so much what's being said as how it's being said. So if you can earn yourself with that split second, like we're talking about with the dog, right? The dog knows right away, are we friends or are we going to fight? Can I trust you? Can I let you into my castle, into my cave, down to my kitchen table? So on the phone or on Zoom, right, you have even less time than that. They can't see you. They can't see your face. But this works. People are making hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars only on phones and only on Zoom. I haven't been in a house in the last 6 years. I do everything 100% virtual far before the pandemic popped off, just because at that point I was working on mostly referrals. Anything that was farther than an hour drive, I would just call and do a phone call before there was even Zoom, and discovered by accident that it actually works, right? Business to business has been doing this for a century. I also do commercial solar. I've gotten multi-megawatt, multi-million-dollar large deals with schools and Fortune 500 companies and big factories and things, all over phone and Zoom. Right now, eventually, the cool thing about solar, we're going to need to do a site survey. So we're going to hand it off to operations, right? The operations team is going to go knock on their door and shake their hand and do their site survey. And you know what I mean? So we're going to send our team out there to be in person, of course. So, but we can just do so much more work outside of the pandemic. The pandemic made people comfortable with doing Zoom, which is what they do everything anyway, right? You look at, everyone's got Amazon, you've got Netflix, you order Uber Eats, you get food delivered, right? People are more comfortable this way, I think, in a lot of ways. And just, you can cover more territory, right? Even if you're just dialing a number one at a time, You can sit back in your air-conditioned room and you can cover, there's an old AT&T commercial back in the day before cell phones, or, reach out and touch somebody. You can reach out to so many more people, right, than you can knock on doors. Now, if you can leverage that, and it's something I'm getting into now, and I'm not the expert on this. The expert, I would say, is the guy Josh King, has some really great training. Jack, what's Jack's name? I'll put a list of all the people, the books to get, the podcast to check out, the people to follow that are experts in each one of these areas. But you can magnify and knock 10 doors at once, right? So now a step above cold calling is you can buy age data. So you buy age data, someone that filled out a form that requested information about solar, right? This is a little bit different. This is a warmer lead. This is not cold calling. This is not hunting. This is what I would call fishing, right? So hunting is our cold outreach, knock doors, cold call, go to networking events. Your network is your net worth. The Chamber of Commerce, BNI, LATIP, NRG, Happy Neighborhood Project. Go onto your phone or your computer and Google business networking events near me. Every single day, there's several of them. Most of them are free. You can go a few times before they hit you up to try and join. Tons of them are online. Tons of them are in real life. Get out there and go. These groups are made to, the goal is to refer each other business, right? For the home space, for B2C, business to customers, yeah. It's the anchor is usually a real estate agent, right? So someone buys a house, they're going to need someone to finance that house. They're going to need a contractor, a landscaper, a painter, so you want to become their solar guy, right? Like the mafia, right? You want to be, I got a guy, right? And that's a whole other thing we'll get into. I'd consider that more farming, is how to operate on a referral basis, right? You want to be the person that always has someone that you can refer, and in turn they refer you. The BNI motto is givers gain, right? A great book called The Go Giver instead of the Go Getter is how can I help more people, be of service, right? And it's, not just karma and mystical woo-woo crystals or whatever, but these are principles of nature again, right? If you give selflessly, it's going to come back tenfold, right? So you go to these groups, you get out there, network, you press the flesh, you shake hands. I don't think I'll ever shake hands again, but I guess now the knuckle bump is acceptable, or, the namaste or whatever, but get out and talk to people, meet them. And there's places where people want to hear your pitch. I think I never did well at door knocking, probably because I had the mindset that I wouldn't do well at it. And maybe I thought I was too good for it. Maybe I was scared of it, right? All that's true. I did it several times. And I got a few leads out of it, and I got some installs out of it. I think it really makes the most sense once you have an install, then it makes the most sense, because now you have this network effect where, where did our leads go? That's the biggest thing of all the studies done, of the reason people go solar. Demographics, psychographics, is it, this group of person? Is it your people that drive a Tesla and go to Whole Foods? Is it your yoga people? Is it your survivalists, right? The biggest thing on earth, that's the indicator, is their neighbor got it, right? So once you get someone that signs up for solar, that's where it really takes off. So that's why door-to-door works really well. So if you have experience in that and you don't have a budget to spend on leads or advertising or marketing, get out of your damn house, get out of your damn car door, and go knock on people's doors, right? It's the oldest thing in the book. Surprisingly, it works, right? You just got to develop a thick skin. So here is talking about lead generation. Long ago in a faraway galaxy, when I first got into residential solar about 10 years ago, I worked for Solar City, which then became Tesla. They would have people set up in Home Depot and Costco, right? That's another thing we can talk about, is channel partnerships, right? Where you get a local business, hardware store, coffee shop. Why did they set up in Home Depot and Costco and Best Buy? It's homeowners looking to improve their home, and also groups of people interested in technology, right? Just a matter of, you got to fish where the fish are. So anyway, the yellow would be, we had people set up there that would set up appointments. That's how I first got started. So Sunshine Dan is one of the best in the country. He would set up appointments. I would go in, people already requested information, give my presentation, and hopefully close 30 to 50% of the time. But as you can see here, it's really interesting. The yellow people were the ones that went to Home Depot and took an appointment. The green ones were people referred by their friends and family, right? So once you get an anchor in that neighborhood, then all their friends and family are asking about it, because people are skeptical of salespeople, and they should be, right? Because there's a lot of slimy greaseballs out there that take advantage of people, and most people's experience with sales is not positive. The used car salesman that took advantage of them, the college debt they're still paying off, there's a lot of people that don't do it ethically and righteously. And that's why it's really important that we do. People should be skeptical of salespeople, right? The dog should be skeptical and sniff you out, right? You can't be too naive. People trust their friends and family. So if you can get yourself to a referral business, copy what the most successful real estate agents or most successful people in any industry do. They don't have to advertise or market or cold call or knock doors. People are coming to them. That's where you want to get to. But that's what I would call, our hunting is our cold outreach. Our fishing is our advertising, marketing, Facebook and YouTube ads, channel partnership ads, where you bait your fishing pole, your fishing rod, and you're hoping some fish will bite on it, right? You have a table at the farmer's market or the fall festival, and you have a raffle, and they're filling out their contact info, and you're going to contact them and try to set an appointment. Or they saw something on Facebook. Oh, okay, save free installation, save money with solar, tax. Oh, okay, tell me something about that, right? That would be fishing. That's your advertising and marketing. Your farming is your long-term strategy to develop a referral-based business. That's the gold standard of any kind of lead, right? Because they don't trust us, but they trust, and all those things I was talking about before about storytelling and Socratic questioning and rapport and trust, right? That's how to get a perfect stranger to trust you. But if you going in there and Mike told his friend, hey, I went solar, this guy Steve was pretty cool, he wasn't too pushy, seemed like a no-brainer when I looked at the numbers. Check it out, Bob. When I go in to talk to Bob, he's 60, 80% sold from his friend Mike, right? That's where you want to get to. That's what these green dots are. That's also why door-to-door works. So if you have no budget and you don't have a book of business, get out there and pound the pavement and knock doors. Any questions so far, Mike? I know I'm just sort of rambling on and on here. So we can get back to our core thing of lead gen here.
Hey, Mike. Steve, no, great. Look, this is a tremendous amount of content. You probably have enough content for 20 calls, right? I mean, you have your wealth of knowledge is obviously deep and ever expanding. So I think that this is for anybody who is watching this. This is the type of thing where it's going to take some time to unpack, depending upon what their journey is with respect to solar. But I think there's a lot of great information, and I think the key is that we're going to continue to evolve and fine tune our approach so that we can provide valuable information to folks who are getting into this industry. You hit a lot of touch points on what drove me to this industry. Again, not going to get into it now. One day, maybe we can have a situation where we can start sharing some of our team member stories, because those stories can be relatable to other folks and kind of help expand the reach, right? And have people get that emotional connection as to why we do what we do in this business. But I think you've done a great job and some really amazing content here. So thank you. I think that, do you have anything else you want to share, or do you think you want to wrap it up for the week?
Yeah, I think that's like you said, I could go on and on forever. I think what I want to do is get focused and distill it down to a specific topic each week, and really dial it in on like real world practical knowledge, instead of just ranting and raving about sales in general and these things in general. So
yeah, and I think also the goal will be is to continue to promote this to folks so they come on live, and then we can kind of schedule some live Q&A and have some scenarios where people are having issues, because I know right now you have the the Facebook feed, which is great, the chat, but unfortunately there's so much amazing content that just gets lost because it's just it's constantly updated. It's almost like a ticker tape. So, once the message gets buried, it unfortunately gets buried to the detriment of folks being able to garner from that knowledge. So I think we should do, if we could really start honing in and bringing people to the page, it's a great receptacle for information, idea exchange, and then leveraging these weekly calls to bring it to a head, and then people can tune in and watch it on a regular basis, and it won't get, lost in the feed, as they say.
Yeah, we can keep it organized, simplified, distill it down so we get the main bullet points instead of a dissertation on, the meaning of
Yeah.
life, solar, or whatever, but really like, okay, here's our topic this week is lead generation, right? So maybe I'll
And we could even drill that further down to lead generation with, like you said, for example, whether it's going to be like, I know some of the things that I've done, I'm very new to this industry. I'm not new to sales and not new to business, but I'm new to this industry. So I'm learning my, but there's some things that I've been able to transfer over that have been able to help me to get the word out to folks and things like that. So I think if people are watching this, if they have comments, questions, recommendations for things that they would like help on, that would be excellent as well. I think it's a question of, we'll hone in a little bit tighter. And even if we initially, bring it to a half hour as opposed to an hour, we'll figure it out and evolve. But I think the key is just to consistently show up and hopefully have more people coming on live each week.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for like more short distilled bullet points, and then also maybe long form interviews. You look at, people do like all the podcasts. I think there's a real need for, we're social tribal animals that want to sit around a campfire. So I think that's why that stuff's so popular. So what has been working for you, right? Maybe what's some of your background in different business and life, and how have you translated like what's working? I know you have a lot of experience in like networking and business in general. So what's been working for you, and what has been some of your struggles as a, seasoned business person that's new to solar?
Right. Yeah. The truth is we can actually go over that next week if you want, that could be because I think there's, as this industry is growing, and particularly with respect to the platform that Power offers, I think that there is going to be an ongoing number of folks who are coming into solar as newbies in the solar industry, right? So, and that's really a good thing, because that's really what we want to do. We want to be able to make it more accessible to folks, and then elevate solar from this perceived business and a perceived kind of targeted salesperson or approach. Because most people, when they think of solar, whether you like it or not, or agree with it or not, there's, as you mentioned, perception is very much a driver, and most people are driven by decisions with very small amounts of information to create those perceptions. And a lot of those perceptions that I see is, folks who think of the door knockers or things like that. And again, those folks who are doing that, listen, I built a network marketing business. I know how challenging it is to, I call it, and it's not my original saying, but it's like, when you're trying to push a noodle up a hill, it's not easy. So the thing is as newer folks are coming in, and the idea of expanding their perception of what it is, and then being able to deliver a sales message and content that is accessible, where people start making the psychological change, whether it be subconsciously or consciously, where the idea of residential solar is becoming part of the vernacular, and it's a welcomed conversation, as opposed to, oh, I don't want to talk to that guy or that gal, So I see that as a huge opportunity. It's a challenge, but I think it's a great opportunity. That what I want to do in my world is to be able to help folks, master that approach.
And you bring up a great point where some of these old-fashioned strategies work well, but a lot of the door-to-door has burned areas, maybe not doing it the right way or explaining it, or back when in the original days with the lease, a lot of the Facebook and YouTube ads are garbage, and they're dangling free solar and somewhat slight or deliberate misinformation. And so that's the ways it was always done. Either Solar City, Sunrun, these big national big box stores have a channel partnership with Home Depot or Costco, set people up because that's where homeowners are to set appointments. That's one strategy. Door to door is another. And then all the phone canvassing, right? But a lot of those people that do it, not to actually, no, I do judge. I judge heavily and I judge. It's kind of like, it's like being an old hippie and then seeing cannabis be legalized, right? Like I've been doing solar for a long time and it's important to do it for the right reasons, the right way, and not take advantage of people or do it the wrong way because it's such a good deal. You don't need to lie or manipulate or bend things or push people. Like you said, the noodle, if you do it the right way and you leverage your existing social networks and you leverage things that work in every other industry, right? That's my whole thing is copy and replicate and scale. So what do real estate agents do that have a big brand, whatever it's Weichert or Keller Williams or whoever their brand is, but their whole business is all self-generated. And solar doesn't quite fit on a 30-second Super Bowl commercial, which is our advantage, right? A car commercial fits or a cell phone. What's a kilowatt? What's electric? I'm busy. I don't care what my electric bill is. $200. Why does it matter? Well, if you sit and listen, 200, $300 a month times 12 months a year is $3 or $4 grand times infinity the next 30 years.
Yeah.
80
I mean, I
or
think the thing is, yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think the thing is the goal is, in my opinion, is to be able, if a message can get conveyed in a very simple way, consistently, so that you as the messenger are providing a message to folks where they are receptive to you as the messenger, that, okay, this is someone who's delivering this message that is one where there is credibility. It's not just some of these taglines that are, quite frankly, contributing to the lack of attention or the lack of of legitimate kind of attention to it, where it's like, when people see, free roof or free this or free that, that's not helping the industry.
Yeah. It's
Right.
burning.
So, I found in my look, I've only been at this for 3 months, right? But I mean, I'm coming at it with 20 some odd years as a business owner and as a sales guy, and have had, countless conversations with folks on selling people things. So what I've been, as you mentioned earlier, like I'm running lead campaigns. So these folks are all cold calls for me. But the minute what I'm doing right off the bat is working to build that communication style, and where it's where you're able to emotionally connect with folks through your your intonation, not feeling that you are nervous about having the conversation. A lot of folks who are new to this, obviously it can be terrifying, the head trash that they tell themselves the minute they're about to dial. And then of course when they actually get someone live on the phone, they feel like they're all thumbs and they're all in their head. So if you can do this enough where you build your muscle memory and your level of confidence, that when you get on the phone, you're just speaking very grounded, it goes a super long way. And also, and these are the things we can talk about, is being able to get right to the point as to why you're calling, as opposed to trying to justify why you're calling. And then that leads them for opportunities to click and hang up, because you're a person's who's just getting started into this or having head trash. Their subconscious is telling them that they've got to spend the time to justify to the person on the other end why they're on the horn. So that insecurity transfers over. And then before you know it, the person on the other line realizes that you don't feel comfortable in this as well. They don't feel comfortable, and click.
That's the dog and the pheromones. I think you bring up a couple great points of the why, and getting it down where I know I can help you. I'm so excited that I can save your family lots of money. Trust me, it's worth taking 2 minutes or 20 minutes. If you have that kind of attitude, people are going to pick up on that, versus I'm sorry to bother you. You're probably not interested. Boom, click. And then the other two things that really resonated was getting your elevator pitch down pat, right? Getting your pitch down. And you had mentioned with networking, right? Which it is another thing that's not a lot of people in solar are doing, which is a huge opportunity that translates from other business, right? So if you go to, maybe we can talk about this, there's tons of these groups, BNI, which I think is business and industry, LATIP, every town in America has a chamber of commerce. Their goal is to promote local business. So they're going to have a coffee or a lunch or a, cocktails after work, wine and cheese or whatever. And people come and they want to hear your pitch. It's a whole different thing than being on a cold door or cold phone.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think the thing is, and again, this is maybe for another call because there's a tremendous amount of content here that can help folks. But what I've done, and then we'll wrap it up because I know we both got to I got some things I got to rock on. But here's the thing. So my thoughts is when I enter into new groups, for example, here I am, I recently moved to Florida. I didn't know anybody. I had a huge network in New Jersey, right? It was ridiculous. Big, everybody knew me. I knew everybody. I spent all years and years and years developing that network. Point being is that, when you're joining new groups, right? You have to be really smart as far as understand the psychology of new groups, right? Where you don't come in where you are someone who is going to quote unquote just be the market disruptor, or the person who's going to be someone who is just pushing too hard too quickly. You've got to spend a little time to build some rapport. But then the goal is, what I found is really helpful, and I'm doing it like in my BNI chapter right now, like slowly but surely. I'm doing one-on-ones with them. I'm having them have conversations so they understand who I am. Then what I'm doing is I'm providing them with value opportunities outside of the BNI for them to network and or grow their business that has nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. So like, for example, like as soon as you and I get off the phone, like part of my day is after I got some new leads I'm following up on. My dead time usually is how I'm creating a networking event. I create networking events on a fairly regular basis, right? With no agenda, right? Just to provide value, to give back. Like, so I'm doing a Toys for Tots run, right? Down here at an event. And, I'm bringing business to a local, bar. I'm bringing people together, and that just is a huge credibility builder because people want to feel comfortable with who they're doing business with. And so again, I think what we should do is Mike, I know, is out today, but maybe the three of us will schedule some time to plan the schedule.
I think we'll have to dial it in and have some focused, super focused on one topic, and then some time for questions and answers and free form. And I think just to wrap it up, one thing that you mentioned, and we can go into this deeper with the networking, is the attitude of service and gratitude with no ulterior motive. So whether it's on someone's door, on someone's phone, someone you meet at a bar or at a networking event, it's the opposite of this. When I'm meeting someone, I'm all about you. I'm laser focused on you, and I'm asking you questions. And how can I help you? Oh, you just moved to Florida. You got to get, where you got to go, Mike. There's this awesome gym. There's this restaurant over there. You like Italian food or you like sushi? Oh, this guy's Chef Bob. He makes the best sushi. Let me give you his number, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're new to town. You need to go here. And that's how I am naturally, and without thinking about it, right? And that's how people work. That's how they develop trust. So if you can go with this attitude of, I want to just legitimately help people, whether I get business out of it or not, right? Just that attitude, that comes back like tenfold. And when you had mentioned the Toys for Tots, another thing I've started doing lately is in addition for referral. So if someone that's signed up and gets installed, or even if they don't, they just refer, maybe they live in an apartment or it's a family member that doesn't own a house. And you give them $500 or $1,000 for referral. I've started donating $100 to the charity of their choice. And we've done things in the past called sunraising, where we'll go to your charity, your PTA, your church, your synagogue, whatever, your school group. Go to lots of real estate agents and give a 10-15 minute talk about what solar is. So hopefully you can talk to a big group of people. And then anyone that signs up and takes an appointment, donate $20 to the school or whatever. And then someone that signs up and actually goes solar, we donate $500 or $1,000 to the school or whatever it is. So this way you can leverage whole networks and build
Right.
trust and do something good and like win, win, win all around. You know, and that's where to take it. That's the next level of that's the planting seeds. That's your orchard. And that's what we want to get to. But first we got to work on the basics, right? So next week we'll come back same time, Thursday, 1:00 East Coast. We'll be live on the Facebooks, and we'll go over some of these things. I'll try to get it more focused in. Maybe I'll drink less coffee. And
No. It's all good. Look, in fact, I hate to say it, but I mean, we just got knocked off Facebook. It's okay. It was by mistake. But the point is, I think what we should do is we've got to, you know, I've talked to Mike about this. You know, you and I haven't talked about it in detail yet, but I'd be more than happy to set a conference call up or whatever else to kind of narrow this down in a way where there's a unified approach where everybody feels comfortable, understands what the outcome is, leverage each other's strengths, right? And then be able to provide this as a great tool to build, because, you know, obviously you guys are seasoned in solar, right? I'm new to solar, but I understand the power of it. I understand the power of the Power Platform. I see the potential of it. And I could, you know, and I think between the three of us, there's 3 very different personality types here, which could leverage, I think, to be able to serve the folks who are watching these on a regular basis. You know, all leaders, different, with a little bit of a different approach, which if we say, okay, here's how we're going to focus in on this so that there's, you know, a just consistent message. And then it's a matter of then just leveraging it. I personally don't necessarily know if the 1:00 time frame works. My recommendation was, and I can talk to you and Mike about it, my experience in these types of calls, okay, that have grown, like where my wife and I built a very successful business that lasted for 10 years. I mean, we're still in it, but like we had some major growth was, you know, within the Isagenix world, which is a network marketing business. And we, you know, to this day we've been part of a group called the Healthy Body Team. They meet every Monday night. I actually have 2 calls a week, but just here, like for now, like even like Monday nights, and we meet usually at like 9:00 at night. And you say, well, why so late? The reason why is because right now this is kind of RGA time or revenue producing time. So, and people are caught up in their day. And a lot of these folks who are busy with their jobs or busy with their kids or busy with this or busy with that, they're not able to tune in. But when you log in and you set it up at a time when like the kids are asleep, they're winding down for the day, and they're willing to unplug. And instead of them wasting an hour or half hour on crap, they can be plugging into this. So, you know, those are things that, again, we could talk about, but I got to roll now, buddy. You did a great job. Let's, you know, look at your calendar. I'd be more than happy to set up a time for the 3 of us to talk so we can all get on the same page with this and leverage it and grow it. My personal, like I said, one of my big thoughts is trying to schedule it at a time where it would be more receptive for folks who are
families and kids
tune in live.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. That makes perfect sense. And yeah, let's take another meeting offline of structure, of like, you know, you're going to talk on this topic, Mike talks on that, I'll talk on this, and we'll have some free form question and free form, but like how to structure it so that people can digest more of it instead of just going
right. And one more thing, and then I'll let you roll, is another thing that you'd be really shocked about too is where you have a little bit of structure, right? But then what you do is you bring people on. You guys have a big team. I don't have a big team yet, right? I'm just learning the art of selling solar from beginning to end and getting enough deal pipelines in. So, you know, I can become a mentor, and I could, you know, and I have enough, you know, kind of velocity in that where I can continue the income coming in, right? So I'm a little bit behind.
But you need to know how this business works.
What's that?
You know how business works,
right? So I'm still learning that. I'm still learning that, and I'm taking a very kind of tempered approach because I've done other things where, like, I just came in and bull rushed it. And, at the end of the day, I didn't, I don't think I did as well as I could have if I just honed in on just what the production requirements are, right? Each day. And that's what I'm doing now. So, I'm learning a tremendous amount. But the point is that when you bring folks onto these calls, you have other team members, right? I mean, I see the inboxes all day. I don't tune into them oftentimes, but I see there's folks who are active, getting them on the line, talking to them about what they're doing, having them be even vulnerable where they're maybe sharing their story, how they got involved, where their challenges are, and then having real kind of live coaching sessions. I mean, again, we'll spend some time doing it, but I have a lot of experience in those worlds. So let's wrap it up for the day, because I do have to get back I got a couple of deals I'm trying to get myself closed. I got to get myself the mentor.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, well, that's a lot of great stuff. Thanks, Mike. And if you need any help with any of those deals, I'm happy to help. And then let's
Thank you, brother.
let's plan for next week.
All right, dude. Let's schedule that. All right, pal.
Cool,
Ciao.
man. Have a great day. Thanks, Mike.
All right.